Red Wigglers, the Cadillac of worms. The Cadillac of worms.
Baby, if you ever want me.
You're listening to the Leafs Power Dump, 10th episode, March 21st edition. Happy first day of spring, gentlemen.
Woo, yeah. Spring has sprung.
What a way to start spring with a Jack Campbell shutout.
Not bad. That's
boing,
boing. We had to check the groinometer or the groinometer.
We'll have to check the groinometer. I feel like there's going to be some significant changes there. Special week this week.
Yeah, because Johnny couldn't make it to today's podcast, so we're bringing in another person from the taxi squad.
Calgary Flames fan, which we won't hold against him too hard.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rob Harrison.
There he is.
Hey.
Zimic, that's very peaceful looking. Your background.
Just behind me
Nice.
are the lovely mountains of Jasper, Alberta. You know, in honor of our special guest, Mr. Rob Harrison today. How you doing, Rob?
I mean, I fell asleep during that hockey game last night.
Funny, I was wide awake.
Yeah.
But
I fell asleep during the Friday night game.
well, the Friday night game, they blacked it out. So I went old school and I listened to the game.
And was it a Calgary call, or did you have to tune into Joe Bowen and get the homer?
No, it was a Calgary call. But Joe Bowen, nothing wrong with Joe Bowen.
They do get away with a lot more on the radio. Like I was listening to them on the way home in the car. So they're talking about that hit on Matthews, and they went on like, you know, and on like that. Could have been a suspension. I didn't get to see it, so they have to kind of help you visualize it. And
the Lucic one.
The Lucic cross check, I guess, from behind. I think that they should give Lucic a DNA test because I'm not really sure. He's Cro-Magnon, we all know to a certain extent, but I just don't know at what point the NHL has rules for, like, you know what I mean? Can you have like the gorilla's heart or any, you know what I mean? Or things like that. That
level of strength.
If you look at it, he looks like a human, but when he grabs someone and starts beating the shit out of them, you realize that there's something else going on there.
Half freight train.
One of my friends texted me and said, ha, 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 when they traded Neil for Lucic for Edmonton. I have to say, I love Lucic. If something ever happens, the other team just kind of thinks about it a little bit more. I mean, there's guys like Kachuk who will annoy the hell out of everybody, but
yeah, we'll get to that.
So last night, what happened then? Did anybody respond to it? Or do you think that Lucic's, what he ended up doing was a reaction to what Hall did the previous night to Goudreau? Like, it's kind of like, you hit our good guy, you're a good guy.
I think a little bit, but I also just think he saw an opportunity, but it was a stupid because it was totally in the numbers. I don't think it was retribution.
No, I don't think so either. I think it just looked opportunistic, and it's
DNA.
You know what's funny with Lucic is that I've always not liked that player, but on Friday night before the game they had him on and they were interviewing him. That's kind of a charming guy, actually. Like, just like,
kind of a
I know, it's like, oh man, I really want to hit you more. Like, I've never liked you. You've kind of been dirty and all that sort of. The kind of guy you love to have on your team because he will like stand up for everybody and all that kind of thing. But
it's all these pregame interviews that humanize all these players, and they make it impossible for us to just arbitrarily, one-dimensionally hate or love them.
But you can only humanize him so much because parts of him are not human.
Okay, so I don't like him still. Good, thanks, Paul.
I'm not even sure you have to pay him a full contract. Like, you know, really, if he actually qualifies as an entire cap hit, because there's parts of him that are other mammals.
He's like a minotaur.
If you look at a sideways picture of him, I'm hoping it's large, like shoulder pads, but he's so thick.
He looks like an axe head perched on its edge.
Yeah, exactly. And,
He's a good player. I like it.
And he makes you feel like the way he plays hockey is kind of like, oh, I can see a little bit of myself in him.
I could have made it.
Corners very well.
Yeah, not having to skate around things is helpful.
Right. Yeah, his turns aren't really required. He's a straight line kind of guy.
That's it.
They should nickname him Railgun.
So yeah, I have to say I was impressed with the Leafs last night. Like, they didn't give the Flames much. Like, that's what was bothersome about the game for me. Flames never got really many good chances.
Yeah, you're right. And they seem to either Campbell was positionally just sound, or they were shooting at his logo, because so much of the stuff he was catching in the center of his body, it's probably 50-50. There was the one sort of really good opportunity where he pulled the old, and this is for you, Paul, because you like flashy goalies, was the pad stack, leg flailing, pick a goalie, Cujo, almost here, any of that kind of thing. Yeah,
and it worked.
It totally worked.
It was brilliant.
The pad stack is coming back this year.
Yeah. You got fighting. You got the fake shot on the breakaway. You got pad stacking. You know what I mean? We're going to get goalie fights. Yeah. Like it's going to be.
I enjoyed watching Matthews have a little bit. He's showing a bit this year that he's human. He's not like android.
In the emotion or the fact that
he was mad.
Yeah.
It was nice. Like broke a stick on the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, Tanev's a beauty. And he played him perfectly all game. But like Tanev knocked him down in the corner and came back and cross-checked him back.
Yeah.
Like it's nice to see out of him.
Yeah.
Because he's big and strong.
Yeah.
He's a big guy.
He's fifth on the team in hits this year.
I mentioned to the other guys that my daughter was watching the game with me. She looked up and she saw Tanev's face, and then she got scared and she asked if she could sleep in our bed tonight. So maybe he should wear a mask or something.
Tanev.
Yeah.
Handsome devil.
Yeah.
Have you seen
I said just because he looks like that doesn't mean he's a serial killer, honey. You could sleep in your bed.
But he doesn't play for our team, so he might
his
be.
Brother? Have you seen the picture of his look up Brendan Tanev?
Ooh.
Yeah, look at Tanev. He looks
what's with
It's like he saw a mouse.
or a gun. Like
but I think it's a genetic thing. And I love the long greasy hair. It's nice.
It's COVID, man. That's giving us all hockey hair. We're capable.
So
I don't think it's COVID with Tanev.
There's some choice involved.
But he's like, I was worried when we lost Brody to you guys that like, Brody is kind of no emotion, but he's steady and he's a good skater and good stick. And I thought, and then Tanev came in and I was like, nah, but he's been really good.
Oh, he's solid.
Yeah, he's been an equal replacement for you guys for Brody. Because I remember we were talking, Rob, before the season started, and when we picked up Brody, and you're like, that's a good pickup for you guys. And you were bang on. Like, he's been solid. I don't think there's been maybe one game where it's like, he kind of dropped the ball there. Like, literally one game, and it was like early in the season. Otherwise, he's just great. He's like a metronome out there.
Yeah, you give him too much to do, and that's why he's good, I think, for you guys, because he's with Riley, who you let do all the things. But if you give him too much to do, he'll do some Gardner stuff, or he'll make some mistakes, and then but that job is somebody else's. And most of the time he was with Giordano in Calgary, and so that was Giordano's job too. But yeah, he's just solid. He doesn't knock people in the boards. It's all like stick checks and body position.
Yep.
And he's not going to punch anybody in the face. But
you can't all
he's like he's made the blue line on Toronto, and like actually him and Hall have kind of solidified that blue line, and it's good now.
Yeah, it's true. And Brody occasionally too has a beauty breakout pass. Like, he's had a few where it's like, he's found that guy just around the center line, and it's turned into either a really solid opportunity or into a goal.
He has a horrible shot, and it's like a floaty wrister. If he does score, it'll be on like in overtime where he's the second guy in on a rebound or something like that. Like, he'll jump into the play. He's a good skater, but just like he cannot score from the point.
No hands.
Yeah.
Well, if he was shooting on Anderson, he could. Holy crap.
Let's move back into our seemingly regular segment of Freddie, friend or foe.
My son's a huge Leafs fan, my oldest son. And when he was 7, he was like, Dad, I have something important to tell you. I decided to be a Leafs fan.
God bless him. And you were like, I love you and respect you no matter what.
Whatever you decide. And amazing. So I said, I'm going to be on a podcast. And he was like, a Leafs talk. He's like, are you going to talk about how much Anderson sucks and how we should trade him and never play him again? He's so mad at Anderson right now.
More than half of Leafs Nation is, I think.
Yeah.
Poor Freddie. Yeah. He's just not got his game going on. And how can you argue with a guy who's just, but back-to-back shutouts. Now back-to-back being 3 weeks apart, but still, Campbell's got periods of shutout hockey. And
here's my question to you guys: like next year, you got to sign Freddie or Hyman. Who do you sign?
Hyman.
You
got to sign.
Hyman's the best player in the NHL.
He might be. He's the most well-rounded.
Tell me you wouldn't take him, Rob. Like any team.
I would take him in a heartbeat. I worked with a guy who played with Hyman in Pee Wee or something, and it was either AA or AAA, and he said Hyman was like probably the 10th best player on the team. It's just all hard work and I think any team would love to have him. And that's why I think it's scary. Is he a UFA?
Yep.
I would be working on trying to sign him during the season. But I think you can go with Jack Campbell next year. I think Jack Campbell could be your starter. You might have to bring somebody else in to kind of...
Yeah, I think you could actually do a tandem. And I mean, I don't know whether Freddie is... It's such a bad dip that all of a sudden he does find his game and, becomes the Freddie that we used to have. But I think at this point, it's starting to look like, we're more than halfway through the season.
24 games left.
You just got to play the hot hand, and it sucks that for him that's a contract year, and things change, and you got to move on. But I think a tandem, you bring in somebody for a couple mil that's a reliable guy as well, and you've shored up your defense. It's incredibly ironic, I think, that the year we have our better defense and lowest shots against, that Freddie can't handle what's going on.
Friday night felt like there was such an early indicator that Freddie's off his game. I mean, first shot, first goal. Then the defense starts to hold the sticks a little too tight. The defense didn't look really great at all on Friday. And as a result, Freddie kind of got shelled.
Well, 4 goals and 16 shots.
Yeah, I don't feel like Freddie
not good
necessarily suddenly fell off a cliff before Friday's game. I feel like there's been a bit of a kind of steady decline, and that the defense has been keeping him looking better than maybe his skill level was.
Well, the Leafs got the 3rd worst goals against since the beginning of March in the entire league.
Yeah.
So we're outscoring our problems, or we do. That's been the story of the Leafs for the last couple of years. But, that was because of real defensive problems that we had before. A lot of those defensive problems have been solved now. So now maybe Freddie's started to be revealed a little bit. Like I said in previous episodes, he lets in soft goals, and he's had a history like goalies. Nobody's perfect, right? So, and that's not what I really expect. But it seems to be that nothing's going his way either.
Exactly.
So the team's on a slide. You're going through a rough patch. You're not getting any breaks. You're not getting any posts.
Maybe he is playing hurt.
Give it to me straight, doctor. I can take it.
Like in the way that Matthews' wrist was his wrist isn't great, but he's still able to play and score. And it's Freddie, because Campbell had been hurt again. If Campbell wasn't hurt, and Hutch, he got a cutout this year, but there's never been any confidence in him. He's our third backup, and so it was a case of Freddie's going to play these games, and not at 100%. Sit Freddie, get him healthy if that's the issue. And then see what happens later on. Just run the hot hand. That's a thing you do with goals.
Well, that's what they do in the forward lines. Why should the goalie be any different? I mean, these people are professional athletes. Yeah. I mean, if you got a hot guy that's out there that's got a scoring touch, all of a sudden you see him get rotated into the lineup and higher up and play more often. So, which is like you get a guy like Spezza. That's a good example. The guy just all of a sudden starts getting placed in newer situations. He's killer on the face-off. He's got a great shot, and you start moving him up the lineup. Yeah. You get a guy like Campbell who's got 2 back-to-back shutouts. Why don't you just keep playing the guy? It just, it doesn't matter if it's, I understand big salaries and having to play goalies, number 1 goalies throughout the course of the entire season. But this is a shortened season, and all these divisional games make big differences, and they have repercussions. So we got 3 goalies, put them in.
Yeah. Z, you mentioned one of our favorite words on the podcast. That word has 2 Z's in it. And what's awesome is that he actually still doesn't get much more ice time. He's playing 10, 12 minutes, rocking it and making the most of it. And that shot last night was yet another beauty from a different spot. That was a different look. He scored 7 goals, and I think each one of them is in a unique way this year.
You do see the 5 years into his career, Spets every once in a while, and it's nice to see. And the guy works hard.
Yeah.
And seems like a nice guy. He's got a great laugh.
Yeah.
And
Hilarious laugh.
And he's out there.
Yeah.
He's expressive. He was, chatting with the refs a little bit last night on a couple of calls where he's sort of thinking like, giving them a bit of the hard time. He doesn't have the A on his sweater, but he's been around long enough. The Leaf group that I'm on, somebody posted up this morning, like they hate them when they're here and then they go away and they're like the greatest thing ever. And it's like, why did we ever let Kapanen go? He's 7 goals. And one of the responses was, yeah, Spets has got 7 goals too. And he's not playing with Crosby and Malkin on every shift.
It's true.
Yeah, and he doesn't sleep in for practices. He actually shows up for team meeting,
And he's league minimum.
Exactly. Yeah, and he doesn't cost $3 million. He's $700,000.
those guys in the room must be so important. And I think that's what makes this team really good this year is you have, I don't know about Spezza being like a get up and yell at guys kind of, but like Thornton and Simmons. I loved it when Hyman scored last night, and the first thing he did is skate to the bench and gave Simmons a high five.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Like, there's no other team that could go in the NHL and say, "Hey, Thornton or hey Spezza, I'm going to pay you $750. Come play 10 minutes a night."
There's all those guys that grew up and just said, like, when I do grow up, I can't wait to finish my career with the Carolina Hurricanes. Like, I just wanted to be a Hurricane since I was a little boy. My dad watched them. My granddad watched them. Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Flames got a new coach. I know this is Leafs talk, but I'm really worried about Gaudreau with this new system.
And it looks like Sutter runs a bit more of a whip-cracking bench, perhaps. When he is screaming at Nestorov as he comes off the ice, and he's ripping him right there on camera. You're like, oh, okay, Dad's angry.
Like Sheldon Keefe doesn't seem to have to be that guy, but he's got everybody going and working hard and playing systems. And you have a whole bunch of young superstars. I was worried that they would just tune him out after a little while.
I think he finds that balance. I'd be curious to see, what he's like in the room after that Ottawa comeback, where we had them by the throat and we let it go. Like, what is he like then?
We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure. We've gone too far. There's too much to lose. We've got to keep our composure.
You watch Keefe in the post-game interviews and stuff, though. He always looks a bit like Bruce Banner. He's not upset. He's just disappointed.
I'm always angry.
He was kind of a chippy player, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, the thing, too, about the Leafs in this last slide is that it never appeared to me that they just rolled over. Like you mentioned, Rob, they lost that game against the Flames just the game before this, but the chances they were getting, they couldn't get a puck on net. It's going off of ankles, broken sticks, they're the puck possession time, shots on net, like all that kind of stuff is all still there. When you're not winning, sometimes it just doesn't go your way or whatever. But I would say through the bulk of the slide that we've been going through, I still can't complain that much about the way that they've been playing. You got to respect your opponents.
We had that Edmonton run, and then literally Vancouver, we could have won those games, but Demko was a difference maker. Then the games against Winnipeg, we were never out of those games. Hellebuck was hella good. And then, the games against the Flames, again, same thing. We didn't, it wasn't for lack of effort. And that was one of the things in prior years where it'd just be like, does anybody even care? This team looks like they care. And on that note, actually, just to throw back to the Hyman going to the bench and high-fiving Simmons, that was awesome. And there was a second part of that too. Galchenyuk was the second guy there. And Tavares came over straight to him and was like, see, buddy, because he made a beautiful pass to get it out there. And I feel like there's this thing with Galchenyuk where they're like, he's giving it because it's his last shot. And they're like, we're going to give you the chance to feel like you're part of this team. What do you guys think of how he played in those first 2 games?
I thought he looked great.
I think he's going to get traded.
Yes, I love it when it's caught. Paul, you and I
think he'll make it past the deadline. It's been a showcase all along.
Maybe
could be, but if it is a showcase, it's been a pretty good showcase in 2 games.
His rap is he'll play a system for a little while, and then he just kind of supposedly falls back into, I want to be Alex goal scorer.
Yeah.
I want to do my own thing. So I would give him those 10 games, see if he can consistently buy into. And I think he might be at the point where he's like, I've been traded 4 times in 2 years.
I wonder if it's me.
And but he's never played with who's the best guys he's played with. He's never played with a Johnny T and a William Nylander, right? He's been he toiled in Montreal just because everybody toils there. And maybe it's a stroke of genius that they've picked him up because we play them at the end of the season. We play the Habs. He's shot at Carey Price in practice for years. So maybe he's a little inside intel secret weapon that is sort of Habs targeted.
Is he better than VC?
Yeah, I think so. I think he will be. Yeah. He's better than the last Habs pickup, Thomas Plekanec. So I think we've improved there.
I will say, like, I'm a Leafs fan if the Flames aren't around, or they're not playing the Flames. And I'm probably more of a Leafs fan when they are having a bad time. Because I will say you guys get quite obnoxious when you're really good.
It's true, but I think it's because I feel like we've been just beaten up for 50 years. It's been 50 years or 50, however many now, 54 years of pain. It's just like, oh my God, something could happen. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, when a team periodically gets into the playoffs or makes a cup run or heaven forbid wins a cup, the fan base for that team gets to expend some of that sort of bravado and passion and arrogance in bite-sized chunks across a span of time. We've had 50 years of pent-up non-success. If we get some success, it's going to be ugly.
I remember early 2000s, the Leafs were, had some good playoff wins.
Yeah.
And everybody was, but that was the annoying when before the salary cap, we're just going to pay a whole bunch of good old guys, overpay them. And
I miss those days.
Now it's a quality built team. So I think I will say I will not cheer if the Flames don't make the playoffs. It'll be Winnipeg or Toronto I'll be cheering for because there's no way I'm cheering for Edmonton. Yes. I can't stand Montreal.
Yes.
And Vancouver is the worst team to cheer for ever. no offense.
You're on notice, Tim Smythe Bishop.
Yes, exactly. No offense, Tim Smythe Bishop.
Oh, the Christmas party's going to be ugly this year, boys.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite Calgary player that ever played for the Leafs? Yeah, and who's your favorite Leaf player that played for Calgary?
For me, they played with Calgary first, but it was probably the worst trade that's ever happened in the NHL, was the Doug Gilmour trade. Mm-hmm. And it actually put Calgary back for years. But I would say Doug Gilmour. Everybody would say Doug Gilmour. If I had a second one, I'd probably have to say Matt Stajan. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is about the guy, but he just worked hard. He was always a fourth liner, seemed to get along with everybody. So those would be my two.
Nice. Dougie G is definitely the one you got to go with. Is just so awesome. So we'll just take him off. I'm going to take him off the table. Just at the given.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go old school, really old school, and go back to Lanny, and mostly because it was so awesome. I've never felt so good, I think, for somebody else winning the Stanley Cup as when Lanny McDonald lifted, and it was like, there you go, you got it, you deserve it. Way to go.
I was going Stajan as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Going the other direction, Brody. Right now.
Love it. Yes. Yeah.
I think he's
forget the past.
Doing his thing. Yep.
Maybe he'll win us a cup,
man. Yeah, Brody's going to be the ex-Flame that's going to get to hoist the cup in Toronto.
Ooh, bold prediction.
Yeah. Put that in your pipe, blue rascal.
If that's the case, I was showing Chad. I have a Brody T-shirt. A Flames Brody T-shirt that I can't wear around it. People talk to me about it. But who's yours, Zimic?
I'm going to go unsung as well. I like Jamie McCowan. He was one of my favorite stay-at-home defenseman kind of guys, nice and solid.
Yeah.
When I was at games in the Gardens and Jamie McCowan used to hit a guy, he used to make a big loud noise. And he's just a super solid player. I always liked him. He was there every night. You knew what to expect. He'd fight. He had a good stick too, and he's just a classic, good, solid defenseman. And
nice.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah.
Well, anybody who can grow a mustache that quality of mustache, which I bet you could, Zimic, is just
solid.
They go up levels.
It was mighty. He had a mighty, mighty, mighty mustache.
I would love to see you in a stash, Z.
Oh yeah.
crazy hair, big stash, like very Burt Reynolds. I just feel like you would totally channel
Nice.
Burt Reynolds.
Nice. I think anybody that can grow a mustache like McCowan is going to finish their check. Like you basically look at that guy like he's finishing his check.
Yeah,
That guy's
he
not
commits,
like totally. Yeah, for sure.
I wish I wondered what's coming up. I wish I wondered I knew what was going to happen.
Surprise! Hey, who's that guy? Rob, nice to meet you. All right, boys. I gotta talk about that Matthews hit from home. I was just like, come on, nobody stood up. What the hell? I'm gonna try out. I'll suplex anybody who messes with our boys. Totally take them out. Just like that time I went cow dipping with Bret Hart. Those buzz did not know I hit them. Okay, so the predictions. I'm gonna get real detailed on this one. I never say scores, but this time I'm going scores. Ottawa, we gotta play them. Slow week too, by the way, boys. What are we gonna do? You know, we don't play till Thursday. Ottawa, 6-2 win. We're gonna show them who's boss. I believe. And maybe Galchenyuk will get his first goal. That'd be pretty cool, huh? Okay, Edmonton is next, and we're gonna do 4-3. Overtime, but I think it's too close to call. I can't tell whether we're gonna win or lose. I don't know, but it's gonna be a tough, close game. And the last prediction is we're gonna roll with the soup. The soup is on Campbell all week long. Okay, boys, I got to go. I gotta go back to the old Stampede, even though it's not on. It's fine. Anyways, gotta go. Catch you later.
The Blue Rascal.
Very nice. It kind of scared me.
Just shows up. Yeah, just blah.
It's like seeing Tanev. You know what I mean? In that dark alley.
Yeah, he's our prognosticator. The Blue
Very
Rascal.
nice.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, cow tipping, eh?
That's good.
You've been listening to the Leafs Power Dump. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, share it around, put it on Twittergram, or
Subscribe to our merch.
Links in the doobly-doo.
And special thanks to our special guest, Rob Harrison. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you for having me.
And
Thanks, guys.
Howard.
hopefully we knock you out of playoff contention.
Yes.
So we'll see you in April.
All right.
Leafs Power Dump Podcast is Kirk Comrie, Chad Maker, Paul Zimick, and John Galway. Copyright 2021 Firewallet Productions.